All right, all right. Good morning to all you dream makers, powerhouse team. Folks, we have got some really incredible content going down right now with an insane, amazing regional manager of North American Senior Benefits. We've got Mr. Ryan Brittian. Ryan, do I have you, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I do. I have you, sir. And I'll tell you what, I'm really excited about the subject that's going down right now. Pretty much tell us a little bit about why you're so passionate about power phrases. Kind of like just a little synopsis of what folks are going to learn today over the next 26 minutes.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of power phrases is, something like holy sugar nuts, or cheese and rice. Those are some power phrases, but obviously we use power phrases in the home as well, whether it's at the door, whether it's in your presentation, whether it's, trying to close. And a lot of times folks don't understand that they're using power phrases in their presentation. And I think it's really important to understand when's the best time to use those power phrases and kind of the psychology behind them, why we use those power phrases, and how they help us close sales.
Amen. So, what's really funny about that is that, for all the seasoned agents, all of you know my mannerisms. You probably know your direct coach's mannerisms, right? I know Laura's got a ton of them, right? And it's so funny because these new agents, they don't know our mannerisms. So sometimes I have to catch myself because I had a new agent text me the other week and I said, cheese and rice. And I can only imagine what they're thinking, right? Like, this girl is crazy. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Ryan, let's take it away. So power phrases, the door, step 4, and the score. So let's go ahead and get started with the door.
Absolutely. Well, so I do want to start by saying I'm pretty sure that just about everybody on this call is an 80s baby or a 90s baby. And if not, then you might have made babies in the 80s or the 90s. So I may have slipped in some 80s, 90s pop culture references. And I think it would be really cool if you guys, when you see them, light up the chat board, post up there if you catch some of those phrases. And for those of you that make it through to the very end, you will receive a special certification and you don't want to miss that. So definitely try and hang on with me as much as you can. But I just wanted to start at the door. That's the start of our presentation, is getting into the door. You can't get a presentation if you can't get in the door. So just a couple of my favorite power phrases to use at the door. And if you're on the Titans team, you've heard these a million times. But these are all power phrases that I've picked up on the morning calls. So I know we just got off a great call this morning. If you guys are not on the calls every single morning, you're missing out. This is part of your job. You should be there, but you should want to be there, because literally everything that every power phrase I'm going to use today is something that I've picked up from somebody on the call. But just to go over some of my favorite power phrases for the door, my number one favorite is great. You're going to make my job super easy today. Okay. Another good one is, that's probably why they sent me out here today. And this one's a little bit controversial, but it's not really a great time for me either. Okay. And so, the reason why these power phrases work and the best time to do it. So the first one, great, you're going to make my job super easy today. Why it works is because it disarms the client, right? You're not here to sell. You're just here to tell. So when somebody says, oh, I've already got all that taken care of, right? Like, okay, great. You're going to make my job super easy today. Because you did request this information, I do have to go over it with you real quick. Should only take about 10 or 15 minutes. Let's go sit down at the dining room table. Then I can get you checked off my list, right? So you're disarming the client. Like, hey, I'm just here to do my job. You requested this information. I got to go over it with you real quick. Then I'll get you checked off my list. They're not thinking, oh, this guy's here to sell me something. He's just here to go through this information or to be real quick, because we know sometimes at the door, they don't know they need help. So you just need to get into the presentation to uncover those needs, but you can't do that if you don't get in the door. So great. You're going to make my job super easy today. The second one, that's probably why they sent me out here today, right? So this is using their objection as the reason why you're there. So if you're looking for a yes, take the one that they give you. right? So, oh, I'm a VA. I got all my stuff through the VA. Oh, you're a veteran. That's probably why they sent me out here today. Oh, you've already had your benefit review 6 months ago. That's probably why they sent me out here today to go over the updates for 2023. So whatever they give you, whatever objection they give you, use that as a yes. Use that as the reason why you're there. Now, this next one, I actually heard this on a call about 2 years ago, and I remember the first time I used it. I was with my wife, and you should have seen her face when I said this to the client. So I go to the door, and I said, "Hey, Miss Johnson, I'm Ryan. I'm here to help you, blah, blah, blah." She says, "It's really not a great time for me." And I'm looking at her, and she's in her bathrobe, and she's in slippers, and I'm peeking through the door, and she's watching The Price is Right. And so I'd heard this on the call, and I was like, you know what? It's really not a great time for me either. And then I show her my iPad, and I scroll through my leads. You should see the list of people they've got me to go see today. But since I'm already here, and it really only takes about 10 or 15 minutes, why don't we sit down real quick? I'll go over this information with you, and then I'll get you checked off my list. Maybe I won't have to work on Saturday this week. So now it lets them know that people value your time, and they should too, right? Look, I've got a lot of people I got to go see. Because you did request this information, we're going to go over it real quick. It's not a great time for me either. You can tell them, hey, I know that it's only going to take about 10 or 15 minutes. I don't want to interrupt your stories. I don't want to interrupt Bob Barker on The Price is Right, but I've got a lot of people to see too. And like I said, the first time I did that, Kaylin was shocked. And when the lady went inside to go get her cell phone so that we could do the presentation, Kaylin looked at me and was like, "Oh my goodness, that was so rude." So be careful. Make sure that you're not unprofessional. Make sure that you're nice to them. But it's okay to call their bluff, right? Because sometimes people are just telling you stuff because they don't want to do it right now. And the sales is just getting somebody to do now what they want to do later. So there's really never a great time to sit and talk about insurance. But we're here. Let's go ahead and take care of this. So those are some of my favorite power phrases for the door.
Oh my gosh. See what that last line was? Like, sales is what?
Sales is just getting somebody to do now what they want to do later. It's never a great time, to talk about life insurance, but I'm here, so let's do it.
Amen. Another power phrase is something that we picked up from Buddy Lawhead down in Texas. And he said, just use the grab, drop, go. Hey, listen, I'm going to go grab that information that you requested, drop it off with you, go over it with you for a few minutes, and then I'll be out of your hair. Okay. And sometimes you can even just put that in your door approach, even before they even give you an objection, right? Especially for those ones that you can just feel like maybe it's going to be a tough person at the door. So again, that's the grab, drop, go. I'm going to go grab that information you requested, Miss Johnson, go over with you. I'm sorry, drop it off with you, go over with you, and I'll be out of your hair. I know Stephen Dean likes to add hey, look, I'm going to go grab my business card and the information that you requested, drop it off with you, go over with you, and I'll be out of your hair. So he likes to add that business card one in. So talk to us about the next one, which is the step 4, because as we all know, step 4 has everything to do with closing. So what are some power phrases there?
Absolutely. So the biggest power phrase for me in step 4 is the one that is already in the presentation. And that is the transition into life insurance. When you're moving from the living benefits into your education on life insurance, Miss Johnson, the last thing that we do, the most important thing that we do, what I specialize in, and it looks like what you had specifically requested help with, and actually where we help most people in the community, is when it comes to where Social Security falls short in the area of state regulated final expense programs. That is the most important power phrase in the step 4 transition. Another one I like to use is most people I sit with already have something in place. And I'm saying that before I even talk about the 3 types, I'm telling them, now, Miss Johnson, most people I sit with already have something in place. It's just my job to go over these types with you real quick and make sure you understand them. Another good one is when it comes to your final expense coverage, what do you have in place currently? Now, I'm doing that one after I've gone over the 3 types of insurance, the oops, the ouch, and the uh-oh, and I've shown them the carrier page, right? Because hopefully by then I've created some doubt. I've created some urgency. And so I'm just trying to figure out what it is they have in place. And then the last one is, this is what we're going to do next, right? So after I've found out a little bit about their policy, I'm telling them what I'm going to do next. And the reason why these work, number one, it's in the presentation for a reason, right? The transition into life insurance, it is there for a reason. There's absolutely no reason anybody on this call does not know this power phrase, because it is part of your presentation and you can read it to your client. And what it does is explains how important this information is. It builds value and it encourages them to pay attention. It's almost like, okay, you've gone through the living benefits. Now you're at the climax of your presentation. So in that, I even use my tonality when I'm telling people. Now, Ms. Johnson, the last thing that we do, the most important thing that we do, what I specialize in and what you specifically requested help on. See, the tonality that I'm using whenever I go into that, I'm letting them know, hey, you need to lean in. This is where I'm going to help the most people. This is where I'm probably going to help you the most. So if you weren't paying attention before, now's the time to turn those ears on, right? I'm letting them know that this is valuable information they're about to get from me. Now, the second one, most people I sit with already have something in place. It creates FOMO or NOMO, right? And a lot of you know what FOMO is, fear of missing out. And if you're telling somebody, hey, most people that I sit with already have something in place, you're already planting that seed of doubt and urgency, because if that person doesn't have something in place, that's the first thing they heard you say. Oh my goodness, most people have something in place. Well, I don't, so I need to pay attention. So you're starting to build that urgency before you even get into it. The other thing it does is it gets rid of objections and interruptions in your transition. So no more interruptions in your transition, because if you start your step 4 by saying most people I sit with already have something in place. How many times do you guys get to the 3 types of coverage and Ms. Johnson says, oh, I've already got whole life, so I don't need you to tell me any about this? Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Like I said, most people I sit with already have something in place. My job is just to make sure you understand these types. So we'll get to that in just a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this. It allows you to maintain control of your presentation. That's something that I struggled with as a new agent. I can't remember how many in and ups I had with Laura where she was like, call me afterwards. Ryan, you need to control your presentation. So this helps you do that, right? Go ahead and getting rid of that objection before you get it. Yes, ma'am. Like I said, most people I sit with already do have something in place. So I'm proud of you, right? And then you can keep going with your presentation. Now, I don't know how many times I've had people tell me, Ryan, I just couldn't get their life insurance. They would not give me any information. They wouldn't give me that policy. I couldn't get to it, right? So after you've done the education on the types of insurance, you've gone through the oops, the ouch, and the uh-oh, and you're showing the carrier page, and you say, now these are some of our top rated carriers. You know, I'm sure you've heard some of these. These are some of the lower rated providers, in my opinion. So you've kind of given them something to think about. They know the types of coverage. They're trying to figure out which type of person they are. They see all of these carriers that they recognize and say, now, Ms. Johnson, when it comes to your final expense coverage, what do you have in place currently? So number one, I'm assuming that they have something, right? Because a lot of the people that we sit with do. Those are our favorite clients, right? And so I'm just asking them what they have in place currently. So that assuming they're more willing to tell you, right? Because it gives them a reason to tell you what they have. You've just created a reason for them to tell you. And if they don't have something in place, you've just given yourself an opportunity to create more urgency, right? So if somebody says, well, you talk about life insurance, I don't have anything in place. Again, it goes to tonality and expression. I will look at them almost like I'm shocked. And again, the first time Kaylin saw me do this, she just had to contain herself from laughing because it's kind of cheesy, but I do the dramatic pause and I turn, I'm like, you don't have anything in place? That's probably why they sent me out here today. That's probably why you filled this out. Don't worry, Miss Johnson. We're going to get this taken care of. I am so glad I stopped by, right? The look on your face whenever they tell you they don't have anything in place, again, that's creating urgency. Oh my goodness, he looked like Yeah, I'm supposed to have something in place. He looks shocked that I don't have anything in place. So it gives you the opportunity to create urgency. And then after you've done all of those things, you tell them what you're going to do. Miss Johnson, this is what we're going to do next. I'm going to call my benefit specialist who specializes with AARP, who specializes with diabetic patients, who specializes with this medication. We're going to get a recommendation and see if we can help you, right? Miss Johnson, this is what we're going to do next. We're going to call your carrier and see if we can get them to send you a duplicate copy of your policy and go ahead and do your policy review. Most of the people that we sit with are looking for you to lead them, right? It creates a feeling of competence, confidence, and authority. If you say, this is what we're going to do next, if they don't want to do it, they're going to tell you, right? But very rarely is that going to happen because they are looking for somebody in a position of authority to tell them what they need to do. So it all goes back to your confidence. If you're confident in what you know, right, that's your confidence. You know what you're talking about, which if you're on this call, that shows that you want to know or you already know, right? So transfer that confidence to them and it'll be easier for them to buy down the road.
I would say this, Craig Harvey would probably say these words right now. Who's got a sales crush on Ryan Brittian, right? So talk to us about why it works and how these actually work. I know that you went over the FOMO, the NOMO, any other points that you would say inside those power phrases with step 4?
Absolutely. So again, it comes back to knowing your material. If you're not studying your presentation, if you are not practicing it, if you're not telling your husband or wife, hey, let me run this presentation by you. If you don't know your stuff, this is a reason why you're not making sales, right? Competence breeds confidence. Confidence is going to lead those people to buy. So make sure that you're studying your presentation. Don't wing it. If you're in the first couple weeks of doing this job, it's okay to read the presentation off of the screen till you get it. But the quicker you can internalize it, the quicker you can kind of adjust and see, okay, this is the direction I need to go with Miss Johnson. This is the power phrase I need to use here. You're able to see other things in the presentation because you're not focused on the presentation. So internalizing your presentation helps these power phrases work even better.
Amen. And I know just also with step 4, I know Jordan, he loves saying that word of, hey, you know what, Miss Johnson, especially when you're talking and going over whole life insurance, making sure that you're saying, this is what most seniors your age have. This is what most seniors your age have. This is what most seniors your age have. Because that, again, creates that FOMO, that fear of missing out. So let's go ahead and talk about this rascal, the score. Tell me about that.
Absolutely. So the reason why I chose the score is because I don't know how many of you guys, when you get out of a house and you make a sale, if you don't go boom, baby, if you don't throw your hands up, if you're not excited, I know, talk about your first sale. You feel like you just made a touchdown. You scored a winning drive, right? So these are some power phrases that you can use to help close the sale, to help solidify the sale, and to do some of your post-close and branding as you're on the way out the door, right? So one of my favorites is, now, Miss Johnson, I don't collect any money today. My job is just to ask some of these health questions, find out if you're eligible, and make sure they send a policy out for you to review, right? Another one is, now, Miss Johnson, I know just like you want to think about it, Mutual of Omaha wants to think about it as well. Royal Neighbors wants to think about it as well. Liberty Bankers wants to think about it as well. My job is just to give you both something to think about, right? Another good one. Now, Miss Johnson, I know that your husband is worth more than all 3 of these options that I'm showing you, but which one of these is the most manageable to you, right? Now, I'm showing that, or I'm saying using that one when I'm showing the options. And then this is another one I use when I'm showing options. It's better to have something in place than nothing at all. We can always look at a lower option, right? When I'm showing the options, this is what I'm using if they're a little bit hesitant on the price point that I'm showing them. And then if I get an objection about, wanting to wait about it, wanting to think about it, I say, I've got some homework to do and I've got some homework for you too. My homework is to see if I can get you qualified. Your homework is to talk with your husband, to talk with your wife, to talk with your children, make sure this is the right amount of coverage for you. And then whenever you guys have questions, you give me a call. I'll step back by. We'll go over it together, make sure that all your questions are answered. Does that sound fair enough? Now, the reasons why these work, right? The first one. Now, I don't collect any money today. My job is just to see if we can get you eligible. What this does is it takes the pressure off the cost or having to pay today, right? It focuses the goal on getting approved and reviewing the policy. So if you're going into your close and you're trying to show options, you're like, I even preface my options before I show it to them. I say this: now, Ms. Johnson, I don't collect any money. My job is just to ask these health questions, see if we can get you an approval, and then get a policy for them to show you, right? For you to review. Now, which one of these options seems the most manageable to you, right? So again, I'm taking the focus off the price that I'm about to show them, and I'm putting the focus on, I want to make sure that you're eligible and you have something to think about, right? So it takes the focus off the price. Now, the second one, now, just like you want to think about it, whatever carrier you're going with wants to think about it as well. What does this do? It gives them a little bit of doubt, right? It takes it away from them a little bit. There was a call a couple of weeks ago where we talked about, don't say, oh, Miss Johnson, you're super healthy, you're going to get approved with any carrier, because why do they need you, right? Why do they need you if they can go out and get approved with any carrier because they're so healthy? So you want to take it away a little bit, because that adds value to you, and it creates that urgency. I need to do this now. So take it away from them a little bit. The carrier wants to think about it. I'm not even sure if you're eligible. That's what my job is to see if I can get this eligibility for you. Now, for the other two, right? Now, I know that your beneficiary is worth more than all three of these options, but which one of these looks the most manageable to you, right? So it's reminding the client that a premium is a very small price to pay for peace of mind, right? You're making it emotional. You're tying it back to their why. Why do they need final expense coverage? Why did they fill this card out in the first place? Why is this important to them? Well, it's important to them because, Miss Johnson's husband, Tommy, would be in a really bad spot if she doesn't have something in place. So it's reminding them again why they're even listening to you. And it also encourages them to stay within their means, right? So, Miss Johnson, I know if we could leave $1 million to every single person, we would, but it's called life insurance, not day insurance. So we want to make sure that you can maintain this, right? You don't want to set yourself up for a chargeback. We would love nothing more than every sale we make to be $500, right? But can all of our clients really afford to pay that? No. So let's make sure that we're getting them the coverage that they need, but we're also making sure that they can maintain that coverage, because we want them to keep it and we don't want chargebacks. So it kind of helps them take a look at what it is that they can actually manage. And then the last one, actually, I picked this up. I'm sure Ashley picked it up from somebody, but I remember an in and up that I did with Ashley back in 2020. And that was the first time I've heard it. And I said, I'm using this from now on. She said, Ryan, you've got some homework to do. And Miss Johnson, you've got some homework to do. Okay. Ryan, your homework is to see if you can get an eligibility. Miss Johnson, your homework is to talk to your daughter, make sure this is a good fit for you guys. And if you want to increase the coverage, you can always do that. So you get back to me with your questions. That's your homework, right? And I mean, you guys know I like to make dad jokes. So I joke around. I say, Miss Johnson, it's probably been a long time since anybody's given you homework, right? Now, I'm sure that you were a straight A student, but I've got some homework for you today, right? So make it fun, make it light, but it's solidifying what it is that you're there to do. It encourages them to talk to their family about the policy, right? Which what does that do for you? It opens up a chance for referrals, because now, hey, what's your daughter's number? I'll give her a call and let her know what we did today. That way, if she has any questions, she's got my direct number, right? So while I'm talking to the daughter about the mom's policy, I'm saying, now what do you have in place, right? So that gives me an opportunity to get a referral. It also solidifies the sale, and it prevents chargebacks, because I'm encouraging them to talk with their family. I'm encouraging them to talk with their daughter. Yes, their biggest objection was, I want to talk to my daughter first. Absolutely. Here, I'm going to give you a card, and I'm going to give you a card for your daughter. Okay. So if she has any questions about what we did today, she can call me and hopefully I can answer any questions that she has. So, all of these are helping you get rid of some of those objections about price. They're helping you solidify the sale. They're preventing you from chargebacks, and they're helping you get referrals. So there's absolutely no reason not to do some of these in your presentation, right?
Like I said, I just think it's amazing because the power phrases, they leverage VOLT, which is value, urgency, likability, and trust. So throughout your entire presentation, power phrases are made to leverage those areas. And the neat thing too is that the best objection is the one that you don't get, right? So the cool thing is that you can physically say these power phrases way before you ever get an objection, right? These are incredible resources, incredible tools that you get the opportunity to actually implement inside your presentation. So tell me about this. Ryan, what have they done today?
Okay, so if you've made it this far, congratulations. You are now a Mighty Morphin Power Phraser. Okay. I don't know about you guys. Growing up, I wanted to be a Power Ranger. No such luck, but you are now a Mighty Morphin Power Phraser. So congratulations. Proud of everybody. Ashley, thank you so much for allowing me to talk about this stuff on the call. I think these calls are imperative. I don't care if you hit the 10K club every month or not. I feel like you should be on these calls because we can always fine tune our sales game. And I love all of the stuff that you guys do for us to give us these opportunities.
Absolutely. I tell you what, huge congratulations to you. And again, this is the whole point of why we even have the remedial improvement performance plan. Whether you're, like I said, you're that struggling agent, maybe you're in the movable middle, you're doing, let's say 1,500 to 2,500 AP a week, and you really want to achieve 3,500. None of this matters. None of this training matters. None of the conference calls matter. National conference, the coaching calls you have with your direct coach, none of this stuff matters if you do not take the action to physically take these resources and go do something with it, right? I know John Cisco loves saying go to work. Just go to work. Let these resources go to work for you. This is why we have done these RIP programs so that you can legit have those resources in your arsenal. So phenomenal job, Ryan. Great job. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and send out that PDF to all of your teams. Hope you guys have a great day. Phenomenal job, Ryan. Thank you so much for being our special guest today. Y'all take care.